Hey, welcome back to Vox Terra, and if you have not done so, please do subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell so you know when I'm putting up a new video. Today, the collapse of the condominium in Miami, climate change as what's called a threat multiplier, and the general disregard for protecting our environment or environmental stewardship and regulation in general, as well as how consumer capitalism is allocating our efforts as individuals and as a society. So for today's show, I'm going to cite you from Environment and Energy News, specifically an article titled, "What's Known About Climate and the Surfside Condo Collapse" by Chelsea Harvey, Tuesday, June 29th, 2021. What's known about it? And as well as two articles from NOAA, which establish the rise of sea levels and the mechanisms for sea level rise. So while, as the author of the Environmental and Energy News article pointed out, yes, it's too soon to know what exactly brought down that tower, we can still look at how climate change and disregard for our environment is making these situations more likely. So let's start with what everyone should have known years ago. Global average sea level has risen about 8 to 9 inches, or 21 to 24 centimeters, since 1880. 1880 being the start of the Industrial Revolution, the era of heavy fossil fuel burning. Worse, if you're a longtime climate activist, longtime environmentalist like myself, 1/3 of the rise has been in the past 25 years alone. Now, this rise in sea level and how global warming, what it used to be called, and before that it was called the man-made greenhouse effect going back to the 70s, how the man-made greenhouse effect or global warming contributes to the rise of our seas is due mostly to meltwater from glaciers and ice sheets. So that's a common sense, right? The ice sheets and the glaciers are melting, adding more water to the ocean. A little lesser known factor is the heating of the ocean itself, a process called thermal expansion, the expansion of the seawater as it warms. So the water levels have come up in general, but the water levels have risen more on the east coast of the United States. Well, why is that? Well, to cite to that, I'll take it back to one of my earlier videos about the slowing down of our Gulf Stream, the Atlantic Ocean currents, and all the globe's ocean currents. So to show that sea level is rising faster on the east coast, and in Miami in particular, from Environment and Energy News, in Miami, tide gauges have shown that sea level has risen there 3 times the global average since the 1990s. So one factor when you have higher sea levels, you're going to increase the odds of flooding. In fact, even if there's no storms or anything like that. So that can be called sunny day flooding. Sunny day flooding in Miami has increased 320% since the 90s. But there's also increased flooding from storm surges, meaning when those climate-driven tropical storms rage, because the sea level's higher now, it takes less energy to push that water up into the city. Many cities have shown the intensifying effect of tropical storms and hurricanes due to those warmer ocean temperatures. And as we get into rescue efforts can be hampered by hurricanes and storms, another threat multiplier. So getting towards how that building itself was undermined, let's talk about something called saltwater intrusion. As the sea levels rise, salt water is contaminating what used to be freshwater bodies and intruding into those areas. There it can affect and corrode iron and steel pipes where they lie underground. It can also undermine the foundations of buildings. It can also contaminate drinking water. Miami-Dade County relies heavily on fresh water from the Biscayne Bay aquifer. According to the U.S. Geologic Survey, salt water is steadily pushing farther inland toward the aquifer. So salt water and flooding can undermine building foundations. It can wash away roads. Surfside officials released a 2018 report on Friday that flagged major structural damage to the concrete slab beneath the ground level pool deck. The report also identified extensive cracking and crumbling in the concrete columns and the walls supporting the parking garage. So concrete is porous, meaning it lets water seep in. As steel rusts, it expands. When salt water seeps in, it can rust the steel rebar that supports the concrete structure. which puts pressure on the concrete and causing little bits to crumble and flake away. It's a process known as spalling. In severe cases, it's sometimes referred to as concrete cancer. Now, the term concrete cancer should be a reminder to us all that the same industries, the same heavy overuse of petrochemicals, fossil fuels that is heating our planet, denied or not denied, is also pumping our biosphere full of carcinogens and other chemicals harmful to human beings and other life forms. Well, another environmental factor or disregard for good environmental stewardship that can contribute to the collapse and undermining of building foundations is the sinking of structures, and that can be related to building on wetlands. It can also be related to the depletion of groundwater, which again comes down to poor environmental stewardship, but groundwater levels lowering can also be due to global warming as that changes the water cycle and rainfall patterns, and the recharging of those freshwater underground aquifers. And indeed, a 2020 study found that the land beneath the condo complex has been sinking since the 1990s, at a rate of about 2 millimeters per year. Now again, we don't know yet what exactly precipitated that structural damage. Was it poor engineering? Was it poor oversight? But all the same, no matter what, it's still a society that's not really taking, regulations and the environment seriously. So not only is this excessive consumerism not gearing us up for survival, it's taking us past a point where survival was easier. Miami recently released a new stormwater master plan costing $4 billion to protect the city from rising seas, with a network of stormwater pumps, seawalls, and drainage systems. And the report warned that even then, not every neighborhood would be safe. The Army Corps of Engineers proposed a $6 billion seawall to protect against storm surge. Billions of dollars now spent towards mitigating a problem that was caused by our excessive consumerism in the first place. And not only that, consider what we are paying people to do with their time. Volunteers are coming in to help find and save people who might still be surviving within the rubble. Volunteers from Israel, from Mexico, because we're not paying enough people for these life-saving activities. So I hope you found my arguments compelling that we need a society more geared towards the long-term survival of our species, thinking in those terms, more focused on good, solid regulations and environmental stewardship. And I hope you've subscribed to my channel, click the notification bell, you're liking, you're commenting, sharing my videos with others to help build up the channel. And until next time, as always, peace be with you.